Holiday Guam and a Holiday Action Pack. This is another episode of the We Want to Know Action Pack Show. I'm your host, Leddy, and I have a special guest. We have senatorial candidate, Ms. Kelly Marsh-Taitano. Holiday, Kelly.
Holiday.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. As we were talking about, I'm wearing yellow to brighten it up. It's a little rainy outside, so let's do what we can to make it a brighter and better day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And you are this is your second time on our show, so we do appreciate you taking your time to further introduce your platform for your candidacy for the 37th Guam Legislature. So to our new viewers, the Action Pack was formed out of a need to play an active role in government, beginning at the grassroots level. Action Pack comprises members from a cross-section of Guam society, representing all walks of life, and united in our belief that we can affect change through action. As always, we welcome you to get to know us better, and we hope to continue doing our part and using our platform to help you, the voter, get to know our candidates better. So before we jump into our interview questions, I'd like to give you some time, Ms. Kelly, if you would like to do some welcoming remarks.
Yes, and Sedus Maasi for the Action Pack for doing this. Every opportunity for us to connect with voters, for voters to know who we are and what we stand for, it's really, really appreciated. So my name is Kelly Marsh-Taitano. I am number 10 on the Democratic side of the ballot. I am a daughter of Guam. I've grown up pretty much all over the island, but I think that's really helped me understand the different facets and the different needs and special qualities of our island. I have a master's degree in Micronesian studies, a PhD in cultural heritage studies, and I've taught for over 10 years at the University of Guam and a little bit at GCC. So those I feel have really helped ground me in our region, our island, understanding it economically, politically, and culturally. And I want to bring that experience to the legislature. And I have been there in the past, and I learned a lot of lessons that I also want to put to good use as well. So it's very simple. I am running because I really care about our community. And inside and outside of the legislature, I am fighting for a brighter, better future for all of us through short and long-term planning, both micro and macro. And hopefully in some of my answers, I'll be able to talk about that, but I'll just throw out the 3 S's there that I care about everything. I will work for everything. We have to intensively look at everything from the budget to each and every issue, but I'm especially looking for sustainable solutions. They open so many doors. We're cleaner, we're greener, it lowers our cost of living, and it provides economic opportunities. But one of the things I really hope to highlight is why the business community needs somebody like me. I am thinking at the macro level as well as the micro level, and I really see the need to change some of our dynamics. So some of the things that I know that Action Pack really cares about, those things can happen when we change the level of need that our community has. We have a high level of need. And if we diversify our economy and do things like that, really lift our community up, we can lower that need so that we can streamline our government and so many things that Action Pack is interested in. But just to finish up my 3 S's, it's also about making our island safer and speaking truth to power.
We love that. And I've always appreciated your 3 S's. I believe it's clever, but it makes your platform and what you're going to bring to the table very clear and easy for the voter to understand. And I do want to give you a special shout out and of gratitude for coming to and supporting our event last Friday at the Hard Rock the Vote. I know that you were were one of the handful of candidates that did participate. You participated with your time, and you spoke to those in attendance, which a lot of them were the younger, newer voters, and I know they appreciated that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate opportunities like that. The Action Pack is being very thoughtful about, right? And we need to get our younger people on board. I'm hearing that some of our lower end of demographics and voting, and the future is theirs. We want to fight for a bright future for them. And so, there can be aspects about politics that can be maybe daunting, or maybe it feels like not enough change happens, but you can only make change happen, or the future that you want to see happen, by voting. And I hope that helps demonstrate that I'm a hard worker. You see me out there waving, you see me out there. I've been putting up the signs. I've gone out with my sign crew each and every time. Like, I am not afraid of hard work. 60 hours a week or more, no problem.
There we go. Excellent. Well, the first question that we did the last interview were your 3 pillars, but I do believe your 3 S's kind of knocked that out of the park. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, or are the 3 S's kind of that would be the correct answer moving forward, correct?
Well, with the sustainability part, I just really want to help people understand that part, because maybe they think sustainability is about tree hugging. And, I do love to hug trees. I mean, I care about our environment, but really it opens so many doors, and we have so many opportunities. So for decades, for hundreds of years, and actually maybe even millennia, in our region, we have been interacting with each other. We've been trading with each other, networking, all of these sort of things. And so within our region especially, but of course beyond that, we're looking for these sustainable solutions. And one of the things we've really learned this COVID is we need better food security. We have seen those empty shelves, and they're worrying. So we have some of this that we can build on. We're already, maybe people don't know, but we're already exporting agricultural products to the Marshalls and other areas. And they actually really want it, more so than food from Brazil or for the US. It's healthier, it's tastier, it looks better, it lasts longer, and they're willing to pay for it. So there are ways like that we can build up our food security. And like I said, economic opportunities. There are so many different types of zero waste industries we can be building up. And like I was mentioning before, changing our dynamics. So, if we want a more streamlined government, if we want to be able to maybe cut back on some of the budget, for me, we have a high level of need for a variety of reasons. That's the reality. 25% or more are perhaps at the poverty line or around the poverty line. And if we really want to be able to lessen our government services without hurting our community, we need to tackle it at that macro level. And so I just want to point out, I've been speaking to the Consulate General from India. I've been speaking to Taiwan. I've been speaking to GCA Trades Academy, local entrepreneurs, the drone industry, like on and on. I will do what it takes to help us tackle those issues at that macro level, so that we're providing opportunity for all of us. We're hopefully keeping people from brain drain and leaving, retaining more of us, having our children and our grandchildren here. Some of my children are in the States as well. And, like I said, getting to some of those other issues that are important to Action Pack, and that's diversifying the economy, but also finding ways to streamline our government. So we have to do it at that big level so that we can get to those kind of issues as well. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the candidates that appear in our show, they seem to be singing the same tune, which I firmly believe in support of that streamlining and making the government a lot more automated and efficient. Because
for sure.
The concept is there, right? With if you can get any small county or municipality in the mainland, even something maybe with a comparable population like ours, and you'll see a lot of their government services are streamlined or are automated, which definitely takes a frustration and time. Limits the frustration and eliminates the time burden for our residents and citizens. So I love the streamlining aspect of what you spoke about. So again, I mean, you might give us the same answer, or maybe since our last conversation and with your conversations and dialogues with citizens of the island, you might have a new one. What is one main focus item that you believe you can realistically accomplish in one term?
Well, last time I spoke about my Interregional Commerce Commission, and as you can tell from some of my answers already, I mean, I'm really passionate about it. There's so much that our region has to offer, and I can see so many opportunities in so many ways. So, I talked about food security and sending agricultural exports to the Marshall Islands, but in talking to the Consul General from India who services our region and talking to Taiwan and some of those areas, we have so much in our region. Taiwan is one of the leading places that makes microchips. And it is something that we can consider. There are huge tax incentives right now. If the US doesn't get on board with building microchips, we are going to have some of the same vulnerabilities to everything technological that we are having right now with fuel to the Middle East. So we used to be a big builder of microchips, and now we're only like 10% of the market. So if that's something we can get on board with by working with Taiwan, but they also offer a lot of technical expertise. And so I'm working with our aquaculture industry, our aquaculture task force, to see about getting some of that technical expertise, because Taiwan, of course, is good at this, and see if we can really make our aquaculture industry get up off the ground again. So India is one of our leading IT areas in the world right now. They have one of the largest populations, and they're putting it to good use. So not only this, but according to the Consul General from India that services our region, he is saying that Bangalore is the new Silicon Valley. So what we're trying to do at UOG and elsewhere is we're trying to connect. We're trying to figure out how can on Guam we be part of this IT industry. So, we want our children and grandchildren. I mean, I'm a grandmother, so I'm speaking that way, but some of us that are viewing, ourselves, right? I've tried to get my son into the drone industry. I want my grandchildren to grow up and be able to be part of the IT industry, but do it from here at Guam, not having to leave to do that. So those are some of the things I'm really working on. And with that Interregional Commerce Commission, because of COVID and our neighboring islands were largely shut down, we didn't get to impanel it and fully get it in place. But I've been working with the administration, and I really want to see that get up and running. So not only are they looking at new industries like that within our region, and there's so much to take advantage of, but as you were talking about with the streamlining, and we all know permitting processes and procurement processes, they're also supposed to be looking at those and figuring out how to smooth the path for them so that it's not something that comes over and it has a bunch of bumpy roads, but something that hopefully we as a community have made a clear and smooth path for. So that, I guess, is still very, very much a part of what I'm committed to and what I really want to see get going for our island.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you bring up a very valid area of concern in regards to the microchips. If there's one thing that a worldwide pandemic that forced everyone to kind of work remotely exposed was that no microchips, no new equipment, and there were a ton of supply chain issues and stalls because of the microchip, the lack of microchips rather. I run a few businesses, and one of the businesses is a business equipment business, copier business, and thankfully we were able to pre-order a great amount of our stock, because if we hadn't, we would not be able to we would not have inventory to service our clients because everything runs off of those microchips. And the same thing with, I do business development for a drone company called EcoFly, and the same thing, new industries, but very advanced focus as far as utilizing the technology aspects that are available today. And I love what we're trying to do for the construction industry. It's not just the drones of taking the photos and the commercials, but more so using it for topographic maps and LiDAR technology, and really trying to see how we can kind of keep up or get up to date, like how they're doing it in the mainland and other parts of the world. So I love that's some of your focus items, and I think that those are very, very necessary to explore and continue to develop the workforce on island and keep them on island.
You know, and speaking of the drone industry, I mean, I had a really long conversation with Charlie Hermosa the other day, and you know, we're actually going to be manufacturing them here. Who would have ever dreamed of that, right? And we're so fortunate to have people like him and like yourself in the drone industry, and it can be part of, or it needs to be part of streamlining our government. So for search and rescue, it has so much potential out there. You know, otherwise we're spending 45 minutes or longer just trying to identify and find where that person is. So there are many, many ways we can streamline our government by getting them trained and using drones, or you know, outsourcing and working with the drone companies here so that we're also supporting some of those new local industries.
Definitely. And I just want to give another shout out to EcoFly, because one of the things that we were able to accomplish 2 months ago was, I believe there were, if I'm not mistaken, 12 students at the new career tech charter school down in Agate that we offered a course for their licensing, and we got 12 of their students certified as far as drone operation. So, I mean, I know we're just at the early stages of it, but if we continue to work together, public and private sector, it's going to go a long way for the overall benefit of our island. Now, before we get into our initiatives, you know, the closing question is very similar to what we spoke about with the last interview. Action Pack is very pro-business. We're made up from by the largest business organizations on Guam, from the chambers to the contractors, realtors, and so on and so forth, and hotel and restaurant association. So we always like to ask, how do you intend, or what are some ideas do you have that to directly help the local business community as we progress past the economic struggling period of the pandemic?
Well, I've talked about the Interregional Commerce Commission, but you know, I've really been out there speaking to people in every direction I can think of. You know, I was part of lowering the BPT and things like that, and so, you know, I definitely get it. I understand that part of our community, that the economy is so important. It fuels just about everything, right? So we need to take care of that. And like I said, I've been having these conversations with different industries, with different local endeavors like that aquaculture task force, with consul generals, with dignitaries from Taiwan, anything that we can to be building up our economy. And you know, in looking at it at that macro level, at least for the way that I'm looking at it, we've talked forever about diversifying, and you know, in some ways we have been working towards that, but we really need to continue down that path, I think. And I've really been trying to think about that brain drain issue. I mentioned one, you know, that some of my children are off island, and so like my son, he's in battery development. So you know, I'm not sure entirely what it's going to take to bring him back and people like him. But if we continue to build up these various types of industries, the more that we're going to be enticing some of our own people back, keeping our children and grandchildren there. So I just want to assure people that this is the direction that I'm really putting a lot of time into, and I think is so important for all of us at all these different levels, and that it can help solve more than just our economy and our business issues, but it gets us to helping solve some of these other issues like brain drain, or having those high levels of poverty and high levels of need. If we're bringing in industries like that, if we are training our people, if we are giving them inspiration and hope and something to work towards, then we are lifting the entire community up, And that's one of the ways we can streamline the government, not only through technology, but through not needing to have as much outreach as we are right now.
Definitely empowering our population. I am all about that. All right, great. So we come to the point of our interview here as we lead up towards the general election, where I'm going to run down the 5 initiatives one at a time. These are the Action PAC's initiatives at current time. And I'll go one at a time, and you can agree, you can disagree, or you can elaborate. All right. Excellent.
Great.
So the first one is the rollback of the BPT from 5 to 4% or less immediately for all businesses. Because as we know, and thank you for being involved with the reduction. But we were spearheading that conversation to get the BPT rolled back, and successfully with the obviously the assistance from the legislature, that I want to say 85 to 90% of the businesses, they were saying from their estimates, any business that made less than $500,000 it's now paying, instead of a 5%, a 3%. But a lot of the corporations that I represent, including a lot of our businesses in the Guam Chamber or Hotel Restaurant Association, and as well as the Guam contractors, they don't fall into that bracket. So where do you stand in regards to the complete rollback of the BPT?
Well, with that, it's something that I'm always open to looking at. As you probably know, we've had a lot of situations that we've been dealing with. We've had the impact of a lot of migration to our area and getting maybe only 10% of support for absorbing that. So it's been on our tax-paying dollars. We have a lot of unfunded mandates. We have a high cost of living. We have the Jones Act that, I am in support of trying to find out how we can get temporary relief, waivers, or something like that, so that it's helping us in a variety of levels. But we've had so many issues like that, including some of the tax cuts. And a lot of it has really fallen towards us continuing to meet our needs or pay for these unfunded mandates out of our own pocket. And it's been hard, like we've seen it out of the legislature. So I am open to that as long as we can keep that balance. And we are having the military buildup, and we talk about leveraging it. So let's leverage it, right? They're coming in, they're going to be spending 1.2 to maybe even up to $2 billion a year. So one of the issues to look at it is there is going to be money coming in from them, maybe another 10 or $12 million. And so one of the things that the legislature will have to figure out is, if we're talking about leveraging the military buildup, we would be giving all of those contractors, if we roll it back, another 1% as well. And so where's the balance in all of that? I think that we're sitting in a good position where we can seriously consider that, giving a break to our community, still providing for the needs, and leveraging that military buildup.
Okay, excellent. Now, number 2 is, our number 2 initiative is advocate for government efficiency to protect and preserve its resources.
Yes, so I think I've spent a lot of time talking about our government and ways that it needs to streamline. And I don't know if transparency is coming up next, but I was a senator who I went to nearly every public hearing. I wanted to hear things for myself. I wanted to ask questions for myself. And I called for ending government contracts if they weren't doing their work. I had oversight hearings. I'm the only senator in years that's actually had called for a subpoena when the agency wasn't being forthright with about $500,000 worth of documents. So, I am there to make sure that those kind of things are happening. And I did call upon my agencies that I had oversight of, that they needed to work together, partner together, and figure out ways that they can help each other to streamline, make sure that they're not doing redundant things, but instead help each other out. And we did have a good example coming from all places. I think it might surprise people to have it come from CAHA. Kaha put a lot of their services online, and it made them more efficient. It made them have that much more time to do their mission work instead of just paperwork and things like that. So they are a really good model of how becoming more technologically savvy, going online, buying the right software, and becoming more efficient really served us well. And so I want to continue to really push for that and call on them to do that.
Excellent. And a big shout out to Kaha. They do have their
Yeah.
mixer this Saturday. It is a social mixer. I believe it's at the Hyatt, but definitely visit Kaha's website or
It
go.
might be the Hilton.
Or possibly, oh, it is. You're right. It is the Hilton. It's the Hilton in the Royal Ballroom. It's this Saturday, which will be tomorrow, actually, the 22nd. Yeah, please support local arts. That moves us to number 3, and you called it. It is about transparency. Our number 3 initiative is improve the transparency at all levels of the government of Guam and promote open communication and collaboration between public and private sectors. I know you touched on it quite a bit. Is this a quick agree, or did you want to elaborate?
Well, I just want to point out that some of what I want to do is have a comprehensive energy policy. And part of that is not just talking to the agencies who are each doing kind of their own thing, kind of in silos, but to have them talking to the private sector. We have private sector industries out there that are about renewable energy. They are about zero waste. And so I want to make sure that that communication happens so that we all benefit from lower cost of living, having less go to our landfill, which is going to save us. Literally, it costs $30 million per cell, which is about 3 to 4 times the amount that it costs for a cell, so I've been told, in the United States. And so we need to take these things really seriously. I mean, not only are we saving money, but we need to have that collaboration between our agencies and the private sector so that we're working together in a, I don't want to overuse the word streamlined, but, in a streamlined fashion, that we're not kind of working against each other or just we're not communicating again with each other.
Definitely. A lot of times the private sector, that's where you'll find the product knowledge experts. So collaboration, I mean, we feel strongly about that. Number 4 is, and you did touch on leveraging this aspect. Our number 4 initiative is strengthen relations with the U.S. military to improve safety and security in the region and maximize economic opportunities through the buildup. So I know that you did touch on that. Is there anything further that you wanted to add?
Oh, sure. I've really been out there doing a lot of work. One of the things that I think that we're missing is, we've noticed that we have Native American companies, First Nations companies that are coming out here, and that's because they have set themselves up to have additional consideration, right? And so I feel like we're missing out on that on Guam, that we need to really bolster our ability to have those kind of extra considerations so that we are having more and more of that military business going to our local communities. So I want to continue to explore it and do whatever it takes, whether it's holding trainings, holding workshops, getting something into place to make sure that we are having that extra consideration for our community as well. If they're going to be here working, we're leveraging it to every extent, hopefully, but part of it needs to be leveraging it so that our businesses are getting more and more of those contracts.
Definitely, just with my involvement with the Guam Contractors Association, you're absolutely right. They're the Native American and then the Native Alaskan. They have their native designation, and this is a personal thing for me. But I really feel that our legislation, our leaders, we really need to continue to push that conversation and that request.
Absolutely,
that Guam has native status, like Hawaii has native status. Because you're right, when it comes down to federal bidding, those preference points really do assist certain companies winning big amount of bids. So that's something that I hope our legislature continues to push for.
Yeah, and it not only helps us here, but just like they're having branches on our island, we can have branches wherever that kind of development is happening.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah, it can allow us to grow into rather sizable companies as well.
Exactly. I love it. And so we close out with the coin flip initiative that a lot of candidates will either strongly say yes, no, or they'll take the time to elaborate, is where do you stand on the support of a part-time legislature?
Well, you know, for me, and especially having been there, there is so much work to do, and we are there to check and balance. And so with a part-time legislature, we have a full-time judiciary, we have a full-time executive, and in order to have that real balance, that real oversight and meaningful legislation, I mean, we've all kind of seen legislation where we've thought, man, we need it to be a little bit better and serve our needs a little bit more, right? So in order to do that, it really takes a lot of time. For that subpoena, it took me months to do the research for that entity. They'd been working on a project for 25 years. I mean, the binders were so thick, right? And we wanted to make sure that we understood what was going on and all of that. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of oversight. It takes a lot of diligence. If we're going to be looking at their budgets, you know, again, it takes a lot of time that way. And to tell you the truth, even out of the companies that we're talking about that are part of ActionPac, I've only ever heard asking for more oversight. We've had $2 billion of federal relief money coming in. We're having millions, if not over $1 billion more, continuing to come in for infrastructure, for education, and for things like that. And believe me, that needs strong oversight. So I've heard people call for more oversight and stronger oversight. I've heard people call for more helpful legislation. And in order to do that in a way that really lives up to what the people deserve, I would say full-time. I did put in about 60 hours a week myself when I was a senator, and I have no problems continuing to do that kind of time and work again. But I really think that will give the people what they deserve.
Excellent. Well, I do appreciate your time and your candor, and I know our viewers do as well. So again, we have senatorial candidate Ms. Kelly Marsh-Taitano seeking for one of your votes in the upcoming general election. Early voting is going on right now at the West End. And if you would like to early vote and you can gather around 10 to 15 of your coworkers or your family, guess what? The ActionPac has a free transportation mode for you. It's our ActionPac voting van.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely. All you need to do is you can email takeactionguam@gmail.com. And we can get you onto that to like I said, again, free voting van. And it's use our gas to cash your vote. That's kind of like our idea right now.
There you go.
So we're very excited about that. It took its first trip yesterday. You can also call us 671-472-6311 to book your voting van trip today. Ms. Kelly, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, you know, and I just want to point out, I mean, when I was saying before that when you're a senator, you have to care about everything and you have to try to work towards the benefit of our community in every direction that you can think of. And I am very proud to say that I was the first one to start this early voting. We were in the middle of a pandemic. We didn't know how much it was going to spread, what the kind of consequences were, but it was the only way that we could make sure that the voting process was secure, that it was still as transparent and viable as possible, but it kept us safe and it allowed us to spread out. But at the same time, a lot of people have issues. They have children at home or elderly at home. And so it allows you to have that convenience. So I'm really glad that I was able to kind of kickstart off the whole early voting idea. And I think it's an example of, you know, maybe people think of me and they think of the environment, but I am so much more than that. I'm about the economy. I'm about those macro solutions. I'm about micro solutions. I'm about taking care of needs as they arise, like with the early voting. We had to think on our feet. It actually took 3 months of discussions with the Guam Election Commission to make sure that we were protecting the vote and the sacred right to vote of each person at the same time. So, I am number 10. I humbly ask that people think about all the things that I've said and realize that I'm much more about the environment. I'm about so many more things. And I'm really about caring about the community and lifting us all up from, just your everyday person. I'm the daughter of teachers, so I'm an everyday person myself, to a large corporations. So I guess one more time, I'm number 10 on the Democratic side.
Excellent. You heard it here first. And again, I do echo the statement. Please watch back Ms. Kelly's interview with us, along with the other candidates, and come to your conscious decision and conclusion on who you want to vote for, who you feel will bring the best items to the table and best ideas to the table to progress Guam into a brighter future, as she has mentioned with her yellow t-shirt or her yellow
future,
blouse.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate your time, Ms. Kelly. And once again, we're going to do our part to elevate your voice and empower you to vote, because your voice is your vote. My name is Phil Leddy. This is the We Want to Know Action Pack Show. Thank you so much for your time. Sign up for free at actionpacguam.com. Thank you, Guam.